What's up, YouTube? Make another video. It's probably like my fourth, fifth video. And today's video, I want to talk about. It's a complicated It's a touchy subject. It's a complicated, answer to this question. But how to know when to give up? Okay. And also, I feel like I'm gonna name the title. Is giving up a good thing? And basically, if you watch my previous videos, you kind of know what I'm gonna lean to. The answer to my question about giving up, and I feel giving up is both good and bad. It just depends on the situation. It depends on, it just depends on a lot of factors on that specific situation that you're in, on whether you should give up on it or, someone or, something that you believe in. It is a touchy subject, and I want to talk about both the good and bad of giving up, because I feel like nowadays society has deemed it, society overall has deemed like giving up, the connotation of giving up is basically a bad thing. And I do not feel giving up it's just all bad. I do feel, you have to give up certain things in order to, make time for other things or progress your life. Because I do feel, just like, say, for instance, like wealthy people. Wealthy people, basically 9 times out of 10, anybody you consider wealthy, they don't work for nobody. They might work for somebody, but I'm talking about the super wealthy people. They work for themselves. And what I meant by that is basically, just say we got a job, because we all got to start somewhere. We can't expect ourselves to get rich, in one day. We got to work our way up to that position, that whatever the case may be. We got to work our way up. And 9 times out of 10, you got to work your way up by working for somebody. So, and I'm just going to tell you a bad thing or a good thing about giving up is, can you compare yourself to, you working for somebody, you working for an employer, and, you feeling like you can progress, you need to, get better. I do feel giving up on that job. And I'm not saying at all by quitting and I quit this job, I'm not doing this job no more. I do feel due diligence and give them a 2 weeks notice and be like, hey, I found something better. And basically give up. Because basically, essentially, that's what you're doing. You're giving up on that job because you feel you can better, put yourself in a better position, a better situation if you give up. And that's what I want to bring up to this purpose of giving up is not always bad. Giving up is good. It just depends on the situation. And I'll talk about relationships right now. I do feel relationships, basically, not to get too much in depth in my personal life, but I got into one of my first serious relationships. I'm not saying I was perfect. Like, I literally shacked and I made a baby without, being married. That's one of my sins I have to live with, and I'm, trying to get better at it as a human. But like I said, I'm talking about giving up, because I was one of those people who never gave up on my partner. I did feel, because like I said, society deemed it to me, and I was very society, and I definitely cared about how people thought. And I definitely felt, basically as a Christian, you shouldn't be giving up on people, because God and Jesus Christ, whoever the case may be, didn't give up on us. So that was my mindset when I was dealing with this person. And the answer now I should definitely know is I should have gave up on that person, simply because I learned eventually, like, when you start to solely be in a relationship or something, you solely start to be into something, or whether it's a relationship or a job, and you're not receiving anything, no things that's going to make you feel better, to make you feel loved, make you feel cared about. When you start to be in a relationship or a job, whatever the case be, and you're always giving and not receiving anything, like, that is a red flag. And I do feel, don't just give up. I feel the first thing you should do is communicate to whoever that is, whether it's your job, whether it's the person you're in a relationship with, that you're not feeling value, you're not feeling whatever the case may be. And if they can't change that, I feel the next step, the right way, I do feel, and I'm guilty of this, of handling things the wrong way, whether I'm cursing or forget this job, blah, 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 blah. Like, I do feel it's the right way to go about whenever you give up on something. And it's like, because you got to understand, like, holistically, giving up is not just a bad thing, because sometimes you got to give up. And I learned that the hard way. I learned that because I never gave up on this said person. I ended up making a baby, and it's like, I ended up making a baby with a person I do not feel like I mesh well with. And I feel personally, I got my struggles when, in terms of, I'm not going to get into in depth of it, because I'm going to respect her out of respect of her. But basically, we wasn't seeing eye to eye, and I feel now I'm definitely paying the consequences of, me not giving up on this person, because I do feel, like I said, the reason why I never gave up, because I was based off the Christian life and based off of understanding that if God never gave up on me, I should give up on nobody else. But I do feel like there's a caveat to that, because I do feel now I'm not blaming it on God. I'm not blaming it on him, because I do feel ultimately us as humans, he blessed us with a gift and a curse. It's a blessing and a curse that we have a power of choice. We have a power of free will. We can choose whatever we wanted to do. And I do feel ultimately I'm not blaming God at all. I'm not blaming Jesus Christ at all, because I do see now, after self-reflection, that I shouldn't have been with her in the first place. And that was my choice. That was my conscious choice. I'm not blaming that on God. I'm holding myself accountable to my actions that I played in it. And I do feel ultimately at the beginning I should never got in a relationship with her. That was God telling me, with me seeing all the red flags, but I was too naive, basically I was too naive and too selfish to understand, like, hey, this is God giving me red flags. I shouldn't be with her. And because I chose to stay with her, because like I said, God is not going to punish you, because I do feel ultimately he gave us all power of choice. And choices is very important in this world, because it either can do bad in it, or it can either do good. Or, for some scenarios, it can either just keep you stagnant. Whatever the case may be, and I do feel stagnant is also a good and a bad thing, because, like I said, life is about balance. So you want to be stagnant in certain areas, but also being stagnant can prohibit you from growth, whether it's from relationships, personal gain, or physical gain, mental gain. Like, it's just about balance. Like I said, I told you my ultimate answer about life. The biggest struggle that we as humans are going to face is about balancing a lot of things and maintaining that balance. That is the most important part, the most hardest part of us being as humans. But to get back on what I was saying, giving up on a relationship, I do feel if they're not offering, or, whether it's a job or a relationship, if they're not offering anything, but they're always taking, and you feel personally that you're always giving, I'm talking about the good people in this world, the good, selfless people who care about people, who care about the job, who care about all that stuff. It is a purpose. It is also important to understand when to give up. And I do feel whenever you see those signs, I feel the first step is for you to, see if it changes, right? The second step is to communicate how you feel about it, whether it's to your relationship or like to a job, and be like, hey, I don't feel appreciated. Hopefully you can change. And like I said, after you done communicated your intentions and all that, if they're not changing, and let's be realistic about the change. We also know, and I'm telling you from my experiences, I'm very impatient. So I expect change to happen super quick, and it ain't gonna happen. But I also do know, it's about progress. Ultimately, what I've learned, throughout my impatience, because like I said, I made plenty of mistakes in this world, is about progress. All I'm looking for right now is progress. If you're making any type of progress, or you see that person is taking the initiative to care about you, and staying consistent with that progress, that's important. Staying consistent with that progress, because like I said, because some people in some jobs will do this, like you will voice your concerns, and they're going to seem like, oh yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you letting me know that. We're going to do our best to, make that change happen. And that could be, like I said, from any situation. And then they might change at the beginning. But they're going to go back to their old ways. And I told you, and I'm telling you, that is when you should give up. And like I said, I do feel people, if they value, and this goes back to if you are in a job or if you're in a relationship, if they value you enough, they're going to change regardless. And they're going to change probably at their own pace. You got to be understanding of that, because that's where you got to meet them in the middle. Like, you expect change, but change ain't going to happen in a day. So you got to meet them in the middle. And basically, they're going to provide some type of progress consistently. And if they don't do that, they're understanding, like, bro, you can't stay stagnant. Sometimes it's okay to give up. And I will be sure to let my son know this. Anybody that I truly care about know it is okay sometimes to give up, because like I said, if they're not changing for you, if they don't want to change for you, I feel like that is not the person for you. That's not the job you should be at, because it's reasons why we stay in relationships because it's comfortable, stay into jobs because, you got a consistent check, but sometimes you got to take a hit to make that progress. And that's facts. Sometimes you got to take a hit. You got to take a L, whatever you may consider it, to make that progress, to make that leap, to make that progression in life that's going to be ultimately better. But like I said, it's very situational, because sometimes you may leave something that, because let me tell you the balance on it. Sometimes you may leave something that was good to you and you wanted, something to be, unrealistically perfect. And that I consider myself as doing that too sometimes. I don't feel like, me personally, I done left something that I regret, because that's not the case right now. But I do understand, me being wise, that sometimes you can't, you gotta understand, like, when you got a good thing, if it's ultimately something that's going to keep you happy, ultimately, overall, not some things you don't like about the job, some things you don't like about that person, but ultimately it's going to overall keep you happy, you need to stay with that person, because the chances of you finding somebody else like that, or finding another job that good, is slim to none. So it's very situational, but I do feel it's based off of where you sit in life. If you're at the bottom, giving up is I would encourage giving up on a lot of stuff to get to where you need to be, and getting close to the top, getting mediocre to the top. But like, when you start getting to the top, and this is very situational, getting to the top of your peak of your relationships, the peak of your financial, your mental state, the peak of your physical state, when you start getting up there and you want to become, better than that, I feel you need to start questioning it, because like I said, there's almost so much room that you can become better when you're already at the top. But like I said, it's where the individual self-reflects to understand where they lie in all these aspects of life. And that's going to ultimately determine whether you should give up on that certain thing or keep that certain thing. All right, man, basically, I feel like that was one of my best videos, because I feel like I taught a lot in that video. I said how I felt about it, and I do feel ultimately I was right about it. But I'm done ranting. And like I said, if anybody's watching this, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And please let me know in the comments how you feel about it. And like I said, if you want me to answer some questions or answer my input on something, I will be sure to help. And with that being said, peace out.